Hi there, I'm Timothy Linsdau, video producer and a Christian. Today I'm looking at illegal streaming bringing piracy to the masses. Now this is something that's a little more dear to my heart as a video producer, is having people steal your content. It's how many people support themselves. A lot of small businesses in the video business, even in the big Hollywood stuff with TV and film, there's a lot of connections with independent small businesses. These people are making their living. Now, I have videos on things like Amazon Prime. So, it's the only way I've been able to recoup, even come close to recouping some of my costs, is in the sale of those films. And when people pirate them, it affects a lot of people. Like and comment on my videos, subscribe to my channel, that'd be great. And like I was saying, a lot of people aren't wealthy that make films. We do it out of a passion. Had done work with school districts for about 10 years, making dozens of educational films. And then independent films, documentaries on wilderness areas and travel and special interest in gold panning, such things as that. And there was a time when we sold, the way that films were distributed was DVDs. And that was a pretty good business for quite a while, and that's pretty much gone in its large scale because of the digital access. But what's happened is a couple of people were found guilty of pirating films and television, but using devices in El Cajon, which is near me in my neighborhood, if you will, of San Diego. These fellas created an actual storefront in El Cajon in the latest craze to pirate media. And they'd come up with these set-top boxes like Roku, if you're familiar with that, and applications that would allow you to steal and stream films and television. And these fellas were just blatant, open with their store, even telling people that this, in effect, is illegal way of getting films, but you can get them cheap. So that's what they sold. Cheap bargain of illegal goods. Well, they were finally caught. And apparently this is the first ones to be nailed for doing this kind of piracy. Black market entrepreneurs are the first in the nation to be successfully criminally prosecuted. These two guys. And I don't even know if I can pronounce their names. It looks Arab. Hisham Lashalakali. Oh, sorry, I'm just destroying the name. I can't handle that. Two fellas from El Cajon got nailed for this stuff. And it's good. I mean, justice is done. Stealing somebody's work, in your small time like I am, it's the only chance you have to get any money back at all. Using these devices and apps. Many more cases are in the pipeline. The federal government's been working on through FBI and other organizations to stop this. Criminal investigations into streaming piracy devices at the National Intellectual Property Rights Coordination Center. Long mouthful there. But they've been working on trying to deal with this and prosecute digital pirates. U.S. law enforcement agencies with foreign allies have also been working on trying to stop this or slow it down or prosecute those that are doing this stuff. The work with these allies has more than doubled over the past 2 years, according to the FBI. So they've been working pretty hard at it. Pirated movies in digital age have long been available to the massive online servers called cyber lockers, as well as shared peer-to-peer which we know about from the first pirating of movie or music. But the online portals haven't always been as simple as they are now for users, especially beginners that wouldn't know their way around the computer and digital world that well. But now with these apps and devices, they're coming up with a far easier way to steal, and so they're going about doing that. It wasn't until the advent of illicit streaming devices paired with these apps that started this whole disaster for filmmakers. Set-top boxes, which can be plugged into a TV, come preloaded with these legitimate-looking streaming apps. Of course, legitimate looking, but not. The growing popularity has content creators terrified. And I can understand that. I remember when we sold DVDs, we could get a profit. But if somebody starts just doing all this stuff, taking it from you for free, you know, what are you going to have? Eventually, the article says we've been devalued because piracy has become rampant. Ruth Fattal, a veteran Hollywood producer and CEO of the Creative Future of Nonprofit Coalition, more than 550 companies and organizations working to protect their work. Audiences don't understand that over 85% of the businesses, film and television, are small businesses, I mentioned before, involving as many as 2.2 million people, and many of these small businesses probably have less than 10 employees, and a lot of people are contractors. You know, the red carpet that you see at the Oscars is not indicative of the mass of people working in the industry. You know, people envy the actors and their incomes, but and producers and directors, but most of people are making that. They estimated that nearly $30 billion is lost in revenue for these businesses from the theft. But law protecting copyrighted works hasn't evolved as fast as the technology to steal it. Downloading and distributing unauthorized content is a felony, crime that carries a prison sentence, hefty fines. One way to try to stop it, downloading and distribution unauthorized content is not only a felony, but there are some areas, well, what they're going after is people that really have businesses at doing this thing. As far as individuals go, they haven't been really pursuing them that much. 90 or 80%, of all piracy happens through streaming. Vitali said things are going to have to change. So the streaming loophole has to be briefed in front of the Senate subcommittee on intellectual property earlier this year to try to do something about it. Now, much of the battle against digital piracy, especially when it comes to streaming, has been waged in civil litigation, with major studios going after illicit services with cease and desist, and then if they don't stop, then they go after them. But as you can see, it hasn't been very successful since these two guys is the first one to be prosecuted. Motion Pictures Association, a trade group that represents major studios, from Disney to Sony to Netflix, has been one of the loudest voices calling for help from the federal government. The U.S. Customs and Border Enforcement have moved aggressively to interdict illicit streaming devices. And I've done a lot of things on the border, and learning about Customs and Border Enforcement. That's just another area that illegal things are going on. Investigating these things are challenging, according to the FBI and Homeland Security. Device sellers are often cloaked in sham businesses and fake addresses, and based overseas. U.S. works closely with intellectual property issues in Europe, Canada, and Mexico, but many other countries that shelter violators don't have similar copyright laws. So there you are. You can easily sneak it in overseas. With the digital world the way it is today, it's easy to move things around the world. Hypothetically, you could have a California reseller obtaining a device built and shipped from China, of course, using software from India. Well, there you go. And of course, organized crime isn't get involved with this and make it even worse. So the El Cajon case, though, is a little bit different. The operators, they called their company Heroes IPTV, a California corporation launched in 2015, actually sold face-to-face out of their store. Located in an office complex on Main Street, undercover agents started visiting them had heard about them. In 2017, heard the sales pitch blatantly describe the producer's illegal purpose. To purposely describe their crime. And I suppose they're assuming that their customers are of that jealous, envious nature that, oh, well, they got all kinds of money, we can take what we want. Set-top boxes were sourced from China and once in the U.S. loaded with illicit apps, including Showbox, according to the authorities. These guys pleaded guilty to aiding and abetting. The two are the first in the nation to plead guilty to selling such devices, according to the authorities. While the El Cajon case has been quietly wrapping up in the courts, the streaming industry has been closely watching new major prosecutions unfold to see what's going to happen. Let's see, there's a big one in the District of Virginia, charged 8 people linked to Jetflix, a Las Vegas-based subscription streaming service. So there's other big operations they're trying to nail. So it goes on. Law enforcement efforts to stamp out streaming piracy have focused on the supply chain, not individuals, as it probably doesn't amount to much, except for you can, be guilty of a misdemeanor. But here's some of the negatives. By plugging in a set-top device into a home's internet network to stream, users have unwillingly bypassed their router firewall protection. So there you go. One way to wreck your computer, get one of these outfits that will capture all of your information, even steal your hard drive information, and won't ask for a price for you to be able to get back your information. You're dealing with wicked people here that are thieves. They're pirates. Piracy apps have stolen usernames and passwords built into those applications. As they say, you're supporting an illegal activity by stealing creative content. Remember that. You don't know who you're doing business with. It's very wicked people here, could be. And you just don't know what's going to happen. Crackdowns against such streaming services and devices. There's also the real possibility of suddenly losing access to your internet and nothing works anymore. Obviously, that's not a great consumer experience. So remember, you're doing with what seems like an innocent thing, stealing these films and television. You don't know who you're dealing with. It could be bad folks, and they can do you ill harm. So avoid such things. Treat the people that make these things as a business and treat them fairly. Pay your, like you would want to be paid for your work. So let's behave here. So, and you criminals out there, look out, they're looking for you. Well, anyway, let's hope that issue gets more dealt with and more taken care of, so the hard work of these filmmakers is not stolen. Like and comment on my videos, subscribe to my channel to keep it going. Thanks a lot for watching, and get out there and make it a great day.